Welcome to Everything EFL podcast. My name's Erin O'Byrne and I absolutely love sharing my knowledge with you, my darling teacher, and helping you build not only community but your students' confidence. I truly believe that a positive frame of mind is essential for your students to learn. There's also a bunch of other teachy stuff thrown in for good measure too. Are you ready? Let's go! Hello, you gorgeous teacher. Welcome to Everything EFL. If you're one of my lovely regular listeners, welcome back. If you are a new listener, you are most welcome. Before I introduce my guest, I have some news. Everything EFL podcast has reached 10,000 downloads, and I am so freaking happy. I cannot tell you. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for making this possible. And if you would like to just pay back any of the free content I've given you, you can do a few things for me. You can recommend my podcast to a colleague. You can share any of my episodes on your social media, or you can DM me and I'll send you a poster that you can put up in your staff room. Which segues very nicely into my guest who knows a thing or two about creating content. I came across this lady on LinkedIn. She is the creative manager for Twinkle, and it apparently involves making loads of hilarious videos and posting them on LinkedIn. Miranda Crowhurst, welcome.
Thanks. Lovely to be here.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. I've got a big cup of coffee. Nothing can be better.
Lovely. For those who don't know you, could you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So if you might not know my name, but you may have seen my videos on LinkedIn or Facebook. If you have seen a lady pretending to be different languages talking to each other, that might be me. Usually English and Spanish, but some other languages get their turn to say something as well. So yeah, I'm the creative manager at Twinkle, which is not a real job. It's a job title that I got to invent in order to spend my time making ESL teachers really happy, making funny videos and memes, and also making content that's really useful for you guys as well, making all your PowerPoints and games and activities. So yeah, that's what I do. I would also say I just got my MBA. So I'm really, really excited about not studying part-time as well as working anymore, and co-founded a language institute in Bolivia with a friend. That's a really successful school, still going, got 2 locations now. And yeah, been, an English teacher for 10 years, teaching all over the world, a bit like a lot of you.
Amazing. Congratulations on your achievements. Your job sounds like a dream. It really does.
Some days.
So you are here to basically advise any teachers listening how to build an online audience if they are, either freelance at the moment or they're thinking about going freelance. So why should teachers work for themselves?
I think working for yourself probably isn't for everyone. You don't have to work for yourself to have a really good career. For example, at the moment, I have in the past worked for myself. I've started a business, and at the moment I'm working for Twinkle. But I think what you shouldn't do is just accept a bad situation and continue on with it as if you don't have any other options, because you really, really, really do. So I really want to encourage teachers who are unhappy with their jobs, who are not getting the fair compensation that they deserve, and who are not getting the support that they should get from management, because it's management's job to support you and give you what you need. If you're not getting that, I would definitely think about starting your own business, because it is the most incredible adventure that you will ever have, and it's extremely satisfying as well to work for yourself, and to because that's what life is about. It's building something for, not for yourself, and that helps other people as well, and not, passing all the rewards on for your hard work for someone who doesn't care about you. So if that's your situation, I think I would definitely consider working for yourself. Yeah.
I think you've made so many good points there. I think now, probably more than ever, everyone is in a good position. It is an employee's market. And I know that, language schools are crying out for teachers, because a lot of teachers in the pandemic went, oh, do you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't blame them. I think as teachers, we're conditioned to accept the shit situations, like, not getting paid for prep, overworking yourself, getting guilty about not going in when you're sick. I had a conversation today. My friend is sick. She's got a virus and she's received a call like every day. Are you coming in? Are you coming in? Let me know by 12 if you're coming in tomorrow and all this. And it's just like, well, you got a virus, so take the week off. And she did.
Yeah.
She is. But she might
Good.
not have done that if she hadn't had that conversation with me. And I've been in academic management myself. It's difficult when teachers, phone up and go, oh, I can't come in, and you start panicking. But at the end of the day, the teachers shouldn't feel like they have to come in to make the academic management team easier, and they shouldn't feel they have to come in for any other reason. You have to put yourself first. And I do think there is a lack of support with
there is.
Yeah, but I think
teaching
a lot of that
is a caring job. It is a caring job, and so teachers need to be cared for, because you can't care for your students if you're not being supported. And so if that's your situation where you're not being backed up, get out, because what are they doing for you?
Exactly. And teaching, it's really difficult to describe to people who don't teach how draining teaching actually is. I come away, I do half days and I'm exhausted. And I do think, a lot of the lack of support comes from the fact that academic management does tend to be very overworked. But, when I was a director of studies, I did my absolute best to try and care for the teachers, but it's just not there for a lot of schools. And I think that does lead to kind of a loss of passion, because we go into teaching because we're passionate about it. We're passionate about the language. And, that gets lost when you get sort of tired and burnt out. And I think if you do, start working for yourself or going that direction, you're going to rediscover what really lights you up, which is what's happening to me. Like at the moment, I'm kind of working out what I'm really passionate about, and I've finally figured it out. And it takes time, but any change takes time. Any change takes time.
It takes time, and it's really scary. Like, I do appreciate that. It's terrifying leaving a job. Even when it's a job that you don't like, it's still a really scary thing to do, especially if you're going to working for yourself, because there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it is the biggest adventure you will ever have.
I love it. And it is possible. You see it all the time. I've met so many, teachers who are working for themselves, but it is about building your online audience. Because at the end of the day, everything's on social media now. So, how important is building an audience on social media? It's
crucial. Yeah. If you're going to work for yourself, it's crucial. Really, I cannot understate the importance of it. And it's crucial in more ways than you might think. I think a lot of people who are starting a small business or going freelance or whatever it is, look at social media and they're like, oh, great, this is the platform where I'm going to tell people about what I offer, and so they can find me and sign up to my classes or my product or whatever it is. But I think the crucial part of social media is actually to use it as a listening tool. So it's not just going out shouting and then leaving the room. That's not what you want from a bunch of people. If everyone was just walking into a shouting about themselves and then leaving, it would be a terrible party. What you really want to do with social media is spend your time getting to know what people really want by really listening to them, listening to people's problems, connecting to them, finding out on their day-to-day what are the blockers in terms of their English, what's really going on there, and how can you then respond to that in a way that solves those problems. That's where you're really going to get the most value out of social media, and you're going to be contributing more as well. So yeah, being a good citizen in social media, going out there with the goal of genuinely helping other people. My goal is just to go out every day and to make someone, give them a little bit of a giggle and a laugh. And, if you build that relationship up with people over time, they'll start saying, hey, what's also a problem? What's going on in my life? And ultimately, that's going to lead you to the opportunities to really, really grow your business.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crucial for listening. Not just shouting.
Yeah, establishing connections, because at the end of the day, the people are gonna, if they buy your product, they're buying it because they like you, and that's pretty much the end of it, isn't it? Really, they like you and they trust you. Yeah, trust. Yes. Yeah. I think especially in ESL, it's so hard to know which companies are trustworthy, who you can go with, who you can't. So yeah, I think trust
knowing that that genuine human connection, I think, is really, really important.
Yeah. And do you agree that a lot of anyone who's not even just teachers, but anyone trying to promote themselves, a lot of them get a feeling of dread when you say the word social media and they go, I hate social media. But I think you have to embrace it. You just have to like take small steps, because it is very overwhelming to begin with. It really, really is. But you just have to kind of do one step at a time, try one or two little things, and don't feel like you have to post every single day and that kind of thing as well. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, I like to post if I have an idea that I think is noteworthy or funny or interesting. And if I don't have anything to say, then I don't say anything, which, makes more sense to me. I hope it makes more sense to you as well. Yeah, I think social media is really scary, because we're scared about putting ourselves out there and then people laughing at us. But from actually what I've seen, the ESL community is incredibly nice and supportive. Yeah. And for, if I ever do get any, the videos go out to a lot of people. And so inevitably there's always going to be one comment, which is a bit like, oh, really? Did you have to say that? But those comments come from people who have absolutely nothing to do with ESL. They're like an unemployed engineer from Wisconsin. And it's like, you know what? It's fine if you don't like my videos, because they're not for you. Yeah, I think if you are scared, don't worry, you will get a positive response from the ESL community, because the ESL community are lovely.
They are. And I always tell my teachers who I train, like, it's not just about leaning on your colleagues in the staff room. There's a huge community out there on every platform, and it's sweet and it's supportive, and you will realize that people are going through the same things as you are. You're not alone. There's advice, there's resources, there's so much out there. I just absolutely love it. Yeah. Your point about like the negative comments, as humans, we tend to focus on the negative. So you might zero in on that one negative comment, but really you have to balance it with all the positive ones and just focus on that. Because I think another kind of fundamental of business is also, you're not going to appeal to everyone. So just suck it up. It's not a popularity competition. You're finding people who align with your beliefs and who, you align with theirs. And that's just what that is.
Yeah, and the more you post, you'll post 10 different things and you'll see which one is popular, and then you can see how much you can take that idea and make it 10 times bigger. So yeah, you're going to have to experiment at the beginning, and some things will be more successful than others, but the more you experiment, the more you'll find out what works. And like you said, find your people.
Yeah, I always say, like, everything is a process, and you're never going to be, it's not going to happen all at once, like with these amazing posts and everything. I mean, like, if I look at the posts from 2 years ago that I was doing compared to what I'm doing now, it's like night and day. But it takes time, and that's just what that is. But I think you have to have a healthy dose of like not giving a shit. Like, you have to just go, oh, I'm just going to put my face on this video, or I'm just going to try it, and it doesn't matter, and not worry, and just ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah, I tend to imagine that I make my posts for just my best friend.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think of one person who I would just send the goofiest, silliest things to, or something genuinely helpful, and I'm like, would I send this to my best friend? Yes or no? Okay, yes. All right, then I'm gonna send it, because chances are, like, that's, it's okay. And then it's less scary than thinking, oh, it's going to go out to 100,000 people.
That's so nice. Yeah. Such a good tip. So can you talk about some of your experiences or anecdotes of your audience building journey? Because obviously you have a huge audience now.
Yeah. So I started off at Twinkle. I remember my first day, I think one person responded to my post, and I was over the moon, and I would click 3 or 4 times a day, and then I'd be like, oh, a notification, yay, this is so fantastic. And it was just it was like January 2020. So we all know what happened next. Luckily at the company at Twinkle, everyone was talking about video content, how important video is for social media. And so I decided to start making a series called 3-Minute ELT, which is basically a teaching idea explained in 3 minutes. And I made a few myself. I asked a couple of other teachers that I found on social media to get involved and make one. And so I was quite happily trundling along and making these videos. So I was like, okay, even people who, and like even an hour of continuous professional development is a lot to ask of someone who is already burnt out. So I thought my idea is, okay, just 3 minutes once a week. Everyone can do 3 minutes once a week of a new game that they can take and put in their English class. So that was my original idea. And yeah, I was going pretty well. I was very happy with the views until one day I just had this crazy idea that I would pretend to be the language of Spanish talking to the language of English. And I honestly thought this idea is so crazy. I'm going to get fired for making this, because why would Twinkle possibly allow me to make something so silly as languages talking to each other? But and I posted it and thought, oh gosh, no one's going to like this. But I woke up the next morning and was like, oh, it has 30,000 views. And then I checked it in the afternoon. I was like, oh, it has 80,000 views. And then I sent it to my sister and I was like, look at this, this has 80,000 views. And she's like, no, it doesn't. It has 130,000 views.
Oh my God.
And then that weekend, I just watched it climb and climb and climb. And so every time I went online, it was like 2,000 people are watching this video right now, until it got over 2 million views that weekend. And that was terrifying. Like this thing I'd made like in a hoodie without really thinking about it was suddenly everywhere, like people were coming up to me and being like, oh, you turned up on my Facebook feed. And it was really scary. So I was totally unprepared for how that would feel. And of course everyone's saying, oh, that must be amazing, but the actual feeling itself when it's you is terrifying. And I was like walking around like hugging trees being like, no, this is real, not that. I would definitely recommend that if that does happen to anyone, that they step back from social media for a day or two, just because you're suddenly caught in this whirlwind that you can't quite control, and it is really scary. Yeah, if that ever happens to you, connect to me on LinkedIn. I'll talk you through it.
Hug a tree. I bet your manager was like rubbing their hands with glee though.
Yeah, everyone in the company was like, hang on, wait, what? But yeah, it was quite alienating because everyone was like, oh, you must be overjoyed. But a lot of the time I wasn't feeling overjoyed. I was feeling quite alone, and like, how do you then go back on camera if you are like, well, 1 million people are going to watch this video? How do I goof around like and be my silliest self in front of all these people? But yeah, I did.
You did, you certainly did. Yeah, it must be quite a tough one, like how do I follow this up?
It is like every single day. I mean, yeah, I make these videos and sometimes they're successful and sometimes they're not successful, and you just have to like, I don't know, keep going. And yeah, I do worry about that a lot, because creativity, social media, a lot of it is creativity, and there's no way you can like hard work yourself into creativity in the short term.
No, it has to flow.
It has to flow. Yeah, exactly. And it's very hit or miss. So you just have to be kind to yourself and think like, it's okay if this post doesn't do well, because it's part of a larger journey where some things are going to do well and some things won't go well. So you have to not beat yourself up about the posts that fail. You just have to say, okay, well, I explored this and it didn't work. So why not? And what did I learn from it so that I don't make the same mistake again?
Exactly. And I think a lot of teachers probably say that to their students, like, you didn't get this right, but it's okay. Let's reflect. So, teachers should, take a leaf out of their own book, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with that. That kind self-talk is incredibly important when you're on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no room for negativity at all. There really isn't. Like even rude comments and stuff like that. There's just no bloody need for it. in terms of, we were talking about creativity, I think, like I said, it has to flow. And I think that if you are feeling a bit tired and burnt out, again, that kind of stifles that side of things. So you do have to find the headspace somewhere, somehow, to create your content, I think.
Yes, I often have my best ideas after I've just had a week off work. Yeah, because I agree with you. It's really, really hard for your mind to like play if you are exhausted and you're just trying to like do the next thing. You have to step away, and often that involves stepping away from the computer, which is hard when everyone's working online.
It is. I tend to take a lot of inspiration just from the moment. Like if you're in lessons and you're in the moment, I often get little flashes of, oh, that will make a good video, that'll make a good podcast episode, and I just have loads of pieces of paper and I just scribble on them and throw them in my handbag, or I use my voice note on my phone, or I use the notes app on my phone. But like you have to write them down as soon as you get them, because otherwise they're just gone. Like, do you ever do that? Just something pops into your head
middle of the night. You're like, I'm not gonna you think you're gonna remember it in the morning, but you won't remember it in the morning, so you have to write it down.
And I find also that the more creative you are, the more creative you get. Like, it's a sort of this perpetual motion thing. Like, creativity begets creativity. Is that the right phrase?
Creativity, I mean, it is something that we practice. Practice it, and I think TikTok is probably the best tool we have for practicing creativity, because it creates all these frameworks that you can easily take and then be creative, but with a lot of boundaries. So I think if you want to be creative, if you want to make creative content for social media, get on TikTok and use those trends. You don't have to post on TikTok. I understand that TikTok's not everyone's favorite place in the world, but use it to take your ideas from, because it's a treasure trove of creativity.
Wow. And I think also there needs to be an understanding of what creativity actually is. Like, it doesn't mean innovation and originality all the time. It just means, like, you've got things whirling around in your head, you take inspiration from other places and your own kind of life and experience and personality, like you sprinkle that all over it, and then you come up with your own content, and it will be original because it's from you. And I think that's what a lot of people need to understand as well. Like, you're not reinventing the wheel. And, at the end of the day, I think with teaching as well, you don't need gimmicks. You need common sense, practical messages that resonate with people.
Yes, I totally agree. It's taking an idea that, and then adapting it, and then adding in a ton of personality. And that's what people really respond to, I think.
It goes back to that no trust factor.
Yes. So I try in my videos, I'm really bad at dancing. I cannot dance, but I still sometimes dance in the videos. Just get, just so, because it's real. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be perfect in what you present on social media. I would not try and, be flawless. I don't wear makeup in my videos. I wear whatever I'm wearing that day, and that's what people will respond to, is your messy, real, but passionate, self. And so you can relax a little bit, and the more you relax and have fun with it, the more people are gonna relate to that and see you and be like, oh yeah, that's what's going on in my life too. So
it's about being yourself. And like, I think when you get into this kind of business side of things, you come across a lot of these kind of wanky buzzwords like be your authentic self, but it's so true. I mean, I'm a bit like, I'm not a very polished person. I'm just not, like some people just look perfect and their videos are perfect and their Instagram feed is like just this wet dream of like gorgeous Canva coordinated. That's just not me. And when I first started my Instagram, it looked like my brain had just vomited onto my Instagram grid. That's what it looked like. It's just that's me. But like not taking yourself seriously, being yourself and taking the piss out of yourself and having a laugh. Like I've made a couple of videos that I'm going to release soon for my masterclass, and one of them I'm dancing. And the other one I'm just like pretending I'm an international social media sensation and holding a big glass of gin and tonic, darling, you know, because it's just a laugh. You cannot take yourself too seriously.
You can't. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that we tell students to do all of the time. It's like, it's okay to make mistakes and have fun in class, and you don't have to be perfect. And yeah, again, we have to listen to our own messages there.
We do. And I get really peed off with this whole idea of perfection. And like in my last or a couple of episodes ago, I said, like, what is this thing with teachers who are obsessed with making perfect lesson plans and spending hours planning? Like, what's wrong with a good lesson plan? Like, you know, because you're killing yourself otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I digress. So
I think
let's keep going.
I have a theory about that, which is I think we live in a space where, all children deserve a perfect teacher. They do. Like, if you look at a child and you're like, I wish I could just give you the perfect teacher. But no teacher is ever going to be perfect. Ever. It's impossible.
Yeah. And
so there's always that gap between what we want to give our students and what we actually are. And I think that's where we beat ourselves up about that. You know, all the time, like, why am I not what this kid deserves? You know, but you can never be. Never be. And that's not a tragedy, you know. That is like, that's just the world. That's just us doing our best.
Yeah.
And I think the flip side of that is then you have to say, well, you know, we don't expect our students to be perfect either, and we all have to be a bit kinder to each other.
I totally agree. And I think there are certain things, and I'm definitely going to do a podcast episode about this, if I haven't already by the time this one comes out. There are certain things teachers have to accept, and one of them is, you know, unless you're going to spend your entire life lesson planning, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to deliver a perfect lesson. So stop killing yourself trying to.
And you don't have to be a perfect teacher to be a great teacher.
No, you don't. Absolutely not. It's about relationship. I keep saying it's about the relationships you build with your class. That's what's going to get students to actually listen to you and learn. Anyway, we've completely gone down an avenue. So let's just rewind. Can you give us some of your top tips for building an audience online?
Yeah, I would say by far the most important thing is to go out and, like I said, be a good citizen of social media. So, you know, you might make a load of posts trying to get a job or trying to get students, and they might work and they might not work. But if you've helped people along the way, your time was not wasted. So as long as you go out and you try and be on people's side, build them up, connect them to what they need, you haven't wasted any of your time. And those seeds that you plant might come back to you. Sometimes it takes months, years even, for a student to go from meeting you, finding out about you, to signing up to your classes. But if you plant those seeds and help to grow other people, eventually in one way or another, those things will come back, and you'll get rewarded for helping other people and being on their side. So I think that's the most important thing, is don't be the person who walks into the party, shouts about yourself, and then leaves. That's not going to get you anywhere.
That's such a good analogy. I love that.
You have to go in, find out about other people, help them out, you know, do the dishes. And then when someone needs help, they'll be like, hey, you know who's really good? Erin. I'm gonna ask her if she can help me out. The next thing that I mentioned was making all kinds of different posts. So make a meme, make a video, make a funny video, make a poll, make a conversation starter. Think about different, and just throw everything. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall, right? And you just need to see what's stuck, and you need to have a look at those 10 posts, analyze them, see which one was most successful, and then why it was most successful. Look at the comments to see what people actually connected to in that post. Was it the format, or was it something about the content? And then you just want to lean in as hard as you possibly can into that particular that particular thing. So, with my one, I figured it out when someone said like, oh yeah, you should connect with Miranda. She's like the teacher that you want to have next door to you. So I was like, oh, that's what people, like need from me. They need me to be the teacher next door, who's kind of like you said, a little bit messy, a little bit like, laughing too hard, and just having fun. So try everything out as much as you can and then find out what works. I think my next goal is,
can I just ask a question there? Do
Yeah.
you agree with posting things that are not in a bad way, but ever so slightly controversial or polarizing? Like one of my most popular posts on LinkedIn, and a lot of times I don't get a lot of comments on LinkedIn, but it was just a random video I made, and I thought, I'll just post it. And it was just fluency versus accuracy. I think fluency, you're not going to change my mind. What do you think? Let the debate commence, kind of thing. So and I got like loads and loads and loads of comments, and it was very pleasant, yeah, but like just it's interesting that kind of get people to sort of take one side or another. What do you think about those kinds of posts?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yes. Not only, I think apart from anything, we need to have those conversations. So it's not a case of just like, oh, I'll do this to just like get the most comments that I possibly can. Like, no, we need to be talking about those things. Similarly, I remember putting out a post about how I really, this is the one I will go on and on about. I think that we should be teaching inclusive pronouns in ESL, and we don't teach the pronoun them for singular, not even to talk about, someone whose gender we don't know because we just said, police officer. So, I will go out there on social media and say, hey, here's an inclusive pronouns worksheet so that you can practice that with your classes. And yeah, that always starts a debate. But I think you have to think about what are my values that I'm willing to stand by, and really, try and make the conversations that we're having better and more productive, and moving, the culture forward into a more inclusive place, or a more productive place, like that, what you're saying about fluency. It's like, okay, we need to get past this thing of like, nobody explodes if you use the wrong preposition, most of the time. So
and it's also a good way.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's also a good way of finding out who is aligned with you and who isn't. And like, if you post something and some people are like offended by it, or they disagree so much they stop following you, that's a good thing, because they were never going to buy from you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're going to ruffle a few feathers, but just if you genuinely think that you are doing it because you're saying it because it's the right thing, and you can back that up with, maybe scientific research would be the best way to back up, what you're saying online, right? If you're doing it for the right reasons, then yeah, go for it. If someone gets angry, that's okay. And that doesn't mean that you have to be angry back. You can still respond with kindness if someone is angry.
Absolutely. That is definitely the best way of responding to anything. And I think also it's important not to post anything controversial just for the sake of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you have to know that you're doing it for the right reasons, because you're going to be in for a bit of a a bit of a ride, for sure. So I would say do it. The thing I draw a line is don't send anything that you wouldn't send to like a 12-year-old. Don't send anything inappropriate. Like, there's jokes that you just like don't want to make on social media. Please do not ask anyone out on LinkedIn. It's not okay.
Oh God, yes, the DMs are very interesting sometimes, aren't they? You always know when it starts because they always say, hello dear. You're like, okay, my first question is always, hello, are you a teacher? That's my first question.
Just flower emoji, heart emoji. No.
Okay, moving on.
So there are boundaries that I know.
Block.
Moving on. The absolute gold on social media is this: if you can make something informative, that's fantastic, and immediately informative. Not click over here to find something informative. It's got to be informative right now, where they are on the social media. Funny is also good, but if you can combine those two and make a post that is both funny and informative, then you're onto a winner. That's the best kind of post you can make. So even if it's, an idea that you've seen before, if you can make it funny, go for it.
I would say a lot of people out there would not be confident with their comedy skills.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. What do you have any advice for that?
Again, it just goes down to fuck it. You just try it. Just try it. And like the video that I made a couple of weeks ago, I got my friend to film it, and I said, this is what I'm going to say, and we did a couple of little run throughs, and then we did it, and I was so happy with the result. It's so silly, but it works. Like I showed my business coach, and she absolutely loved it. So again, just throw yourself into it, and don't look like you're self-conscious, because then it will flop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have to make it for your best friend. Have that best friend energy. And if you are scared, if you can't think of a funny idea, go on TikTok, because the funny ideas are already made there. You just have to take that idea and then apply it to ESL, or even just remake it with yourself playing the parts. Plenty of people do that as well. It's a good starting point.
Okay, I like it.
So yeah, fun will attract people. It's about the feeling of what you're saying as well as just what you're saying.
I never thought about like taking somebody's content and then remaking it with yourself. But at the end of the day, teaching is basically stealing ideas and adapting them. That's what teaching is,
Yeah, I mean, if it's a trending audio and you're mouthing to the audio, that's done for you. And if you stitch an idea, so you or duet it, so you have their video and then your video underneath, like that's so easy. But yeah, if it's just someone else's idea and you're taking it and then saying that it's your own, that's a bit sketchy to me. But if it's something that you're like mouthing the words to, that's fine. I mean, that's what it's there for. So
what's next? I'm dying to know.
I've got 4 more. Okay, next one. Don't just drop a post and then not respond to any of the comments. I see this all of the time.
Really?
Yes. People will post and then not respond. And I know that I'm guilty of that sometimes, because there are just so many comments and I can't respond to each one individually. But as much as you can, especially when you're beginning, respond to every single comment, and find out more and get engaged in there, because chances are is that they have the ideas for your next post. So get engaged, talk to people. If you can, reward them with like, a discount or something like that, so that people are like, well, yeah, it's really worth talking to so and so, because they love my ideas, they listen to me, and I get something out of it as well. So that's my next point. Oh, number 5 out of 7. Don't go on and on about how great your product is. That's what your customer should be doing, not you. So if you have a new class that you want to talk about, or you have a book or our resources, sometimes I am really proud of them, but I don't like to be like, oh, hey, this resource is amazing, it's perfect for your classes, and it's going to solve all of your problems and be just the best resource you've ever used. Just talk about what you would do with it, and the uses of it, and give helpful, practical, real information. But don't go in and like compliment yourself. Like, it's the same thing about like what I said about like, don't walk into the party, shout about yourself and then leave. Like, don't go to a party and be like, hi, I'm amazing, just the best person that you will ever meet. That's just awkward. So don't go on about how great your product is. Let your customer do that. Just tell them the practical information that you can't argue with, because that's what it is.
I think that's really really useful information, like basically. And your student or whoever you're selling to needs to know what's in it for them. How will it solve their problems? How will it help them? Exactly. And I think you can also like collect testimonials from past students and stuff like that as well, that you can use. So again, you're not boasting about yourself, you're using other people's words.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes so much more sense.
If like somebody's listening and they're like, well, how do I get testimonials? Ask, just like email or message like former students who you had a good connection with, and say, I was wondering if you could do me a favor. Could you write a testimonial? Could you write about an issue you had and a problem I solved, or something like that? Just like a couple of lines. And then you can collect those and you can use them. Or if your student sends you a message, screenshot it, and then with their permission, post it on your social media.
My penultimate tip is probably the most important one, which is, but it's kind of hard to explain. But what I would say is this: if you're thinking about launching a business or going independent or whatever it is, what I wouldn't do is spend a year, 6 months, even a month working on perfecting what you're offering and then showing it. What I would do is have constant feedback as you build your product or website or classes. So I would make the smallest possible thing that you possibly can make, spend the least amount of time on it. It's called the minimum viable product. And then I would go online, talk to people, find out what they like, offer it for free if I can, get as much feedback. And then I'd go back and build that product, change it. And then I would go back to social media, be like, what do you guys think now? And then keep that as much constant feedback as you can get. I remember getting a message on LinkedIn from someone who was like, I've spent the last 20 years working on a phrasal verb dictionary and now it's ready to go. Would you have a look at it? And I'm just thinking, no, this is going to be a disaster, because if you spent 20 years building a project with no feedback, then you just don't know if you're going on the wrong track, and you probably are on the wrong track. So don't do that. You need to be constantly changing your product, getting feedback, learning from your audience, listening, adapting yourself. A company who do this fantastically is Koala Go. They're a new platform for tutors teaching kids online, and they run a Facebook group, and every single week they have updates to their platform based on what the Facebook group is saying, as they build their platform. So yeah, that, is so important. Don't think that just because you think what you have is great, that other people are going to agree with you. You have to, like you say, relate it to them. That is the most important thing.
I hear this a lot. Like it's,
Uh-huh.
you think, and I kind of made the same mistake as well at the beginning. Like I kind of wrote an entire course, and I still think a lot of it's useful, but now as I've engaged and also done a lot of teacher training this summer and really found out kind of the issues that mainstream school teachers especially face in terms of time and burnout, I've realized that I need to include a lot more mindset in my course idea, and not just like about students' mindset, but about teachers' mindset. Brilliant. Miranda, thank you so much. There's so much good information in this episode. I'm so grateful for your time. And good luck with everything. Where can people find you?
Yes, so people can find me on LinkedIn if they search Miranda Crowhurst. That's Miranda. And my last name is Crowhurst, Crowhurst. So yeah, send me a message. If you want to join the Facebook page, if you search for Twinkle ESL, you will find the Twinkle Resources for ESL Teachers page, and they can follow along and see all of the silliness that we do, and also some of the products we make. And of course, sign up for twinkle.com or twinkle.co.uk. We offer a ton of freebies for ESL teachers. So there's always something new that you can get to help you have your classes. All of our resources are professionally designed, professionally made. So yeah, that's where to find more.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, guys, that's the end. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely, safe, peaceful week. Look after yourself and share the love. Bye.
Bye, Erin. Thank you.